Here comes the nasty gram.
Send a priest to save my soul, forget it.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Star Wars Wings of Kani, Episode 2, Scavenger.
Feeling it too hard is the poison to the heart of a cynic.
The soil felt soft beneath Zeta's feet. His sibling Dio, standing close by, sensed his anxiety and assured him it was safe. Zeta was unaccustomed to such things. His whole life had been among the stars, somewhere between the steel of ships and the void of space. His hands reached out to graze the fauna that grew around him, bright, lush, living things, so different to the vast emptiness. He found it hard to breathe. The oxygen-rich air felt thick. And there it was again, that invisible weight, gravity. It bore down on his shoulders like some great giant trying to crush him. Despite that, he looked up, through the foliage, up to the dome that enclosed this small bit of life, out to the blackness of space, and felt more at ease. It was the first time Zeta had been on the High Fae, the sustenance ship of the fleet. He was 4 months old, already an adult by the standards of his species. The Kani people, in their flight from their dying homeworld, took a piece of their planet with them. It was an effort to ensure they could survive their journey through space. It was a complete ecological system that could provide the fleet with the food it needed. He looked back down. This was what remained of the Kani ecosystem, the world of his progenitors.
For millennia, the Kani lived in peace, in communion with their homeworld of Kani. The galactic civil war forced the Kani to leave their home. Together with the Kida and the 11 synthetic Venko, the denizens of Kani and their fleet gather unlikely allies in their search for a new home.
Welcome back to the Nastygram RPG podcast. This is Devin, and I will be your galactic overlord.
Hey everyone, Dan here, playing Zeta the Slicer.
Hey folks, it's John. I'm playing Rej Kentari, the Gearhead, and S3RV0, the Astromech.
Who we've yet to see.
Who's there? He's around.
Oh. And this is Jake, and I'm playing San Tavar, the human Jedi. It's like playing a human fighter in
Basic bitch.
I'm going to be a Jedi, and I'm going to be more powerful than any of them, and I'm also the best and good and true.
My name is Luke Sook Liewalker.
Zook Planet Runner.
We start as the group overlooks the scanner array on one of the outer spokes of the space station Renewal. The hangar is almost directly below you, with these large antennae that reach up about 200 meters. You have disengaged the energy shield and now look upon empty space, save for the thin pylons that rise in front of you. You know that you could patch into the relay and get limited sensor controls from this location. You know that the more sophisticated devices are on another spoke with the relays and antenna attached to the hub section of the space station Renewal. It is silent.
Rej, who is usually hunched over, held down by gravity, is fully erect.
Nice.
You see his full 2.5 meter height. Stretches his arms up. The void calls, does it not?
You probably see a very rare kind of upward turn of the mouth to Zeta as you say that.
Do you hear it, son?
I hear very little and it concerns me. Watch out for rocks. That anti-gravity field is off.
Zeta kind of nods briefly and then pushes off out through the blue barrier and into space.
No blue barrier. You drift off, not acting under pressure, no apparent danger. This is sort of standard operating this is standard operating procedure for the Venko and the Kita alike, as they are they have made their living for the past several months mining and working in the asteroid field. So you push off the threshold and wrap your hands around one of these handholds affixed to the sensor relay. Do you have any gear with you?
I do. I have 2 bandoliers that kind of crisscross his body across his chest. And they're, I think in many of them are either compartments with small components or tools that are generally used to work on mechanical and technical components. I think when Zeta first kind of jumps out into space, it becomes very clear that it's very hard to spot him because of how dark his body is. And if it weren't for the bandoliers, he'd be almost invisible out in space. And then once he hits that kind of sensor array, you can see that black form kind of spider climb along it as he begins climbing. And I think once his hands kind of reach the array, he can begin feeling that point of connectivity that he needs to reach in order to speak to it.
The only problem is there's no power currently being run through the relay. You think if you were able to patch in some power from your ship, you would be able to get full function of this sensor.
Rij is already on the way with towing a cable out. He goes, S3, let's go. S3, he lifts off the platform with these little repulsor jets, and his little legs fold in, and he points himself towards the space station, whistling all the way, towing this cable.
Little gouts you see just like
correction.
It comes in steady.
That's your power. I'll get it hooked in. Rij, maybe less gracefully, but bounds off of this cargo platform and towards this access hatch on the side of this relay.
I think Zeta is already working on removing the bolts that hold the access hatch on and pulls the panel free. And by the time you arrive there, the access to it is already available.
Yep. S3 stops these big puffs from his repulsor jets as he corrects the motion and floats next to you as Rij comes barreling through, grabs onto an antenna, swings, his body hits the side panel.
Like a tetherball?
Yeah. A little too fast on that one. Let's see. Should be easy enough. They all connect in on each other. He grabs the cable, opens the port, and starts plugging it in, punching buttons to get the power to relay on back up.
And you are getting power. You get a comm from Caldo. Power transferring.
A moment later, you don't hear anything because it's space, but you feel the kind of vibration in your boots as sand makes contact with the tower. It kind of came over on a tether on that cable and hits it pretty hard, hits the tower pretty hard, and then locks his boots and one of his hands on with the, I imagine they have like mag locks, makes 3 points of contact.
There are actually spokes on this pylon, almost like a telephone pole that you can, your mag boots hook into, highly magnetic spokes.
And then kind of stands up straight. Like, I imagine the camera's like at an angle. So it looks like he's standing like completely horizontal. Standing up straight and just kind of like looking around, and he can't really help technically with what they're doing. So he's kind of just acting as a spotter, to looking for danger, making sure nothing no space slugs jump out at us or anything like that.
Give me an
Classic space
give me an
slugs.
assess
Assess.
as Rij and Zeta get to work. You're plugging in. It's a pretty standard access port, but you do need to modulate power and make sure that you're getting the right wattage. Everything is going as normal. It's silent.
Okay.
What did you hear?
I was just looking at my moves, and under the the sense thing, it says when you check out a scene, but I don't know what that means.
I think that's assess. I think that was they
Okay.
just changed the
They
name of
changed
that
the name.
move.
Okay. Could I perhaps call on the force when I do this for
Do you have any force
Little
points? Yeah, absolutely.
extra guidance?
Yes. You're that bad feeling persists. You know that something is
That's a fail.
okay. Mark experience.
You are using the force, so it's not using the dark side point.
Yeah.
I'll give you if you want to. I'll give you a 10 plus on this
Okay.
assess. You take a dark side point.
Okay. I'm not sure how dark side points work. Well,
Yeah, that was very cavalier. Okay,
Sorry about
let's put a pin in that, shall we?
I'm evil now.
You feel that fear, that emotion that was not yours. You begin to feel it, and that sort of kicks your senses into action, and you're able to perceive.
I think just the idea of being out in the vacuum of space is probably pretty terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
To
fear.
creatures that aren't built to be there.
Fear would be feeding on fear, basically.
Yeah, and feeling that echo.
The only thing between you and certain death is an ill-fitting vac suit. 3 questions. Or 3 hold. You can use them. You don't have to use them now, but as long as you're in this sort of scene, they will be at your disposal.
At the moment, I just want to know, I'm assessing threats.
Okay.
So what is the biggest threat in this situation?
There's no apparent threat, but as you look around, again, the only movement is the asteroids, right? Your frame of reference. You're attached to the ship now. Caldo has matched the rotation of the space station so that it appears stationary as well. You see you feel it before you see it. Small movement. The walkway that connects this module to the hub, you see a little movement. It's a small box. It couldn't be much larger than an ammo box, and it starts zipping from the hub or from the spoke in the hangar towards the hub.
Where we are.
No, away from where you are.
I think there's a droid on the hull over there. Something small moving away from us.
There were stationed on this station.
Are there maintenance droids that...
Yeah. What you described sounds like a maintenance droid. Still active, though. How far away is that?
50 meters down and then away from you.
And it's going towards a non-powered part of the...
It's going towards the only powered part of the ship, which is the hub.
Okay, so the hangar isn't powered,
Correct.
but it had the shield.
This is no. So the hangar on the hub was the one with the blue shield, and you saw it close.
Yeah.
Where you brought the ship was to the hangar spoke, the storage and hangar spoke.
Yeah.
With a control tower on it.
Yeah.
So you're at one of the spokes, and there's a like a walkway, like almost like a tunnel.
Yeah.
That connects to the hub, and the hub is the only part of the ship that is powered.
Okay, gotcha.
But you are currently bringing power up to specifically the sensor relay. And just as San notices that, you get green lights on the control panel.
All green, Zeta. Keep your eye out, son. That might have been a warning.
I will begin. Zeta places both hands on kind of inside this access port closest to where the power is being pushed into the system, and he begins to follow that power as it begins to activate the sensors and communications within the station.
Okay.
and he kind of piggybacks on that communication signal and starts reaching out inside the station.
What are you looking for?
I think he wants to find out maybe if there is a log in relation to the Imperial, what did we call them? The Imperial escape pods arriving.
Okay.
And
I'll tell you right now, you don't find any. There is a termination of all logs, all manual logs, about 4 days ago.
Zeta says
the last manual input was the distress beacon.
And it was remained on.
Yes.
All historical records have been deleted as of 4 days ago.
Emergency protocol. Make sure nothing is captured.
The distress beacon has remained active.
So either it's a honeypot, or there are actual, some of our people in there. Why else would you keep it running? Maybe they just don't know who we are.
Devin, do I think that this particular part of the array kind of sensors, it's not the one that we could use to communicate with the fleet, correct?
It's not the main array. This is a control tower for vessels that are incoming to the hangar. This hangar specifically is for like storage. This is where raw materials will be brought in from the ventures out into the asteroid field. This is a working.
That other hangar is more of a transport.
Yes, the one in the hub.
Yep.
I think Zeta is going to try something else, and maybe this isn't necessarily a canny roll. Maybe it's more of a deep check. Maybe it's almost a kind of a trust your feelings one.
What are you trying to do?
He is trying to reach through the communications of the station that he has access to see if there are any other Venko on board that may be accessing the communications as well.
Okay. Give me plus deep. You want two six-sided die. You're going to roll those and add your modifier.
Deep.
Real deep.
9. So on the trust your feelings, it says roll plus deep. On a hit, gain new insight into your current situation and take +1 forward acting on it. On a 10 plus, the information is clear and decisive. On a 7 to 9, it's vague and foreboding. You've got a bad feeling about this.
Devin, as he's doing this, I'm watching him, and I say, trust your feelings. Be part of the things you reach out to. All of them are connected. We are all connected. Like a giant network, we are all one. Be one with them. I'm actually repeating things that my master told me, but I'm sort of recognizing I think that what Zeta does is, in a weird technical way, using the Force. I've seen the way he interfaces with things, and I think that it's a new way to use the Force.
Is Zeta a techno Jedi?
A techno Jedi, yeah. So I think this is going to, in some way, be the bond that I end up having with Zeta.
Great.
Is that
Great.
I think to try to convince him that what he does is not just purely technical but spiritual.
Cool. Skip the roll. Skip the aid roll. Add that bond to your sheet, and
Okay.
you get the +1.
All right. That's a 10.
The information is clear and decisive. There are no Venko on board. In fact, there are no Venko in this planetary system whatsoever. There are 10 other Venko besides yourself.
Mm-hmm.
None of them are within 100,000 kilometers of here.
Gross.
You look out through the asteroid field, just waiting for a moment when the bodies pass and give you a look towards the planet. you get a moment where none of these rocky bodies obstruct your view, and you just have this view of this lush green planet, a violent, stormy atmosphere, and nothing in between you and it.
Zeta comes over the comms. None of the Venko are in the system.
You feel like emptiness.
What do you mean in the system? You can tell? Did you bring the repeaters back online?
I am disconnected from my brothers and sisters. I am disconnected from my siblings.
Nice.
Well, that's not great.
I would speculate that it means the fleet has left.
And who are these poor saps on this space station?
Zeta, are you sure they're not dead?
Absence is different from death.
Now that's deep.
Interesting. I suppose now is not the time for that sort of discussion, though.
Well, there are only 11 Venko on the fleet. There are Kita, Kani, humans. There could be anybody in that station.
Devin, is there sensitive information on this station anyways that we wouldn't want the Imperials theoretically to have?
Certainly.
But all the Venko were here, right?
There were some amongst the asteroids in the mining facilities, and there were some aboard various ships. It is possible they were here and other places.
Well, if we're going to get more information, we need to get inside.
Well, don't need to ask me twice. He pulls this torch off of his backpack, sets it, like mags the power unit to the hull. Starts burning. S3, you get the bottom, I'll get the top. S3 kind of orients its body, and you see a little arm come out, little plasma cutter comes out, and it starts to cut left, and I start to cut right. A little hole in the hull.
Awesome. You, San, I think you see something that makes you slightly nauseous, which is Zeta takes his hand away from the kind of those inner workings, and he coils his two legs up against the hull of the station, and then just free dives back towards the ship, and kind of lands kind of gently at the foot of the cargo bay doors, and he proceeds to walk back into our little starship, onto the Wandering Star. He kind of stands at as he lands in the cargo bay, he kind of stands still for a while, and you just see him standing there. He's calling the B1 to him.
Okay. San, what are you doing as...
I'm
hurling?
I'm just waiting.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got my boots locked in, but I'm also I've got one hand on that spoke, just trying not to get hurled into the nothingness of the void.
R3 and Rij, you actually had to climb down a bit to get to the roof of the hangar bay, the one that's out on the spoke. And you eventually cut through it. Zeta, you see that the pair have cut a breach into the hangar bay. There's no decompression. It seems like the hangar was already in a vacuum.
Yep.
And you see the panel come off, and you see red emergency lights, just a dull red glow inside. Other than that, it is quiet.
Reese flips on his helmet light. He says, "The way is open. You all ready?" Unholsters his blaster, kind of lets the welder battery is magnetized, but the welder is kind of drifting out into space right now. And he has this blaster pistol in his hand.
Zeta, standing kind of in just behind that blue shield, a B1 battle droid approaches him out of the inner workings of the Wandering.
Guy.
Those are the ones with the kind of bigger chest. They're bipedal.
Roger.
Oh, that the B1 is the little the crappy one.
Separatist battle droid. Yes.
The basic.
Yep.
One.
This one's been modified. It has
Okay.
different, like its hands looks like it has different functions. Its forearms seem to be modified so that it can sort of switch between devices around its hands. The legs are modified. There are like those mag attachments on the feet. There's actually these sort of hooks on the side that come up, and if it wants to latch on to something like an antenna, it can just wrap its hook around it. It's a modified B1 battle droid, and it does have its signature blaster rifle.
Zeta pulls out of one of those bandolier pockets kind of the syntherope, classic to Star Wars, and it's got a magnetic anchor onto it. He places the anchor on the B1's chest. It kind of nods affirmative, and then he jumps back towards the station, kind of rappelling the line out. And then once he's secured it, he begins pulling the B1 across the space over to the station.
Oh, good, you got skinny.
Caldo has actually brought the Wandering Star down towards that port that Rej opened up.
Nice.
So it's a short trip. And Rej, did you already enter?
Yeah.
As the ship comes down, Rej
I clear like the initial area.
jumps down. Zero grav. You just just push off and drift down. Again, those red emergency lights. You see huge containers of ore. There's actually a small like hauling like a tow vessel and equipment, scaffolding, things like that. But otherwise, this is empty.
I drop in after you.
Seems clear so far.
Again, no power besides the red emergency lights.
Yep.
And there's a blast door that leads to the gangway that goes across to the hub, and that is closed as well. There's a control panel that is that's closed but looks undamaged.
There's not going to be any cover in that tunnel leading to the hub.
No.
B1 can access it and ensure its safety.
Yeah, we send Skinny in first. S3, why don't you go grab the power cable from the relay? We'll power this control panel and get in. S3 beeps a few times and his little jets fire off as he goes up to the control panel, unhooks the power cable, and then snakes it through this cut hole.
Well, while all of that is going on, I start looking around at the cargo that's in here. It's mostly like ore.
Yep, more or on just rock, unrefined, raw material.
Yeah, I pull the like lids off some of the crates, and I'm just looking around, just waiting for them to get the door open.
Yeah, there are laser drills, again, like scaffolding for some of those radio tower devices that are used for the cargo
and there's no
security.
There's no gravity in here right now.
No gravity,
Okay.
no power. R3 comes back with that power cord.
S3.
S3 comes back with that power cord, and you're able to hook it up. And you can actually you can route power into this room, just lights.
Yeah.
You don't have enough power. We don't have enough power for life support, but we can get you your power in the hangar.
Power's good enough. Rej heads over to the control panel. This blast door opens it. Lights are on. He punches in his access code.
Door opens up. You see across the gangway, it looks like there's some damage. It looks like an asteroid struck this tunnel. So it is open to space. There's also no gravity in here. It's a vacuum. At the far side, like 100 meters, there's another blast door that leads into the hub directly. You can see on the outside of that door, there are white lights, like a couple of strips of white lights that mark the door.
And they're on.
You see Zeta close his eyes, and B1 begins walking out onto the gangway.
Again, it's silent, but you can just imagine that.
Zeta is perfectly still, but with his eyes closed. And he now commands B1.
Yep.
B1 is going to walk down to the end of the gangway, and nope, he's not.
Get about halfway across, and those blast doors open up, and you see two very familiar entities. You see two very familiar droids. These are pretty standard hauler droids that the space station uses to haul cargo, pull tow cables, things like that. They are standing side by side. They have blaster pistols in their hands, and you can see these round, very distinct restraining bolts on them. And they start walking in unison out towards the B1 battle droid. Their pistols come up.
We are in it.
Yep.
We're in it. B1.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do?
He will, it's not kick some ass. Go in blazing.
Go in blazing. And you have a custom move when you go into battle with your droid?
Yes. I can. I lost track of it. Oh, right. Here we go. Act under pressure. When actually the droid goes in blazing, I can use Kani instead of rugged.
Okay.
All right.
Sort of like John's thing where when you're
Yep.
working in concert, this is specifically for battle.
Yep. All right.
Not that kind of droid.
10.
Okay. On a 10 plus, choose 2.
I think I'm going to suffer little harm in return and expose or create a weakness. Maybe he shoots one of the bolts.
Okay. How much harm is that blaster rifle?
I think it's 2 harm. It's at the end of that little.
It is. I have it right here. Blaster carbine, 2 harm, close area, loud energy. High power, or do you have a high-powered sporting blaster rifle?
No.
So let's say you have the blaster carbine.
Mm-hmm.
That's 2 harm, close, loud energy. Yeah, you blast this droid, and it swings back. An arm actually pops off, and the arm with the blaster falls to the ground. But the droid still continues.
Okay.
He says, "Get Skinny back here.
You
Get him
see,
into cover."
you see B1. His the bottom half rotates, and he begins walking backwards while still facing the other way.
Cool.
Reese is going to try to lay down some fire. They're still probably a little too far away for actual effective blaster pistols.
Okay.
So I'm going to maybe help or
Stand in defense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give some covering fire, some suppressive fire. Plus rugged.
It's 12.
Great. Think about that advanced move.
Yep.
So you get on a hit, you suffer harm in its place. Not really applicable. On a 10 plus, choose 2.
I'll inflict harm on the attackers, and I'm going to see what I'm defending to safety.
Okay. I'll give you a choice. You can either blast the second hauler droid and sort of push both of them, or you could completely disable the droid that B1 already hit.
I'll disable the droid that B1 already hit.
Okay. You land a shot right in its chest, right in its central processing unit, and it zip zaps and fires silently, sparks, and it doesn't fall down. It just sort of, its head goes limp and its limbs go limp. And the B1 makes it back amid a couple of more shots. You quickly pivot and shoot off a couple towards the second hauler droid, sort of pushing it into cover. The B1 battle droid makes it back into the hangar.
It kind of sidesteps once it gets back to the opening that we went through, and kind of takes up a defensive position on the outside edge of the hall.
Again, completely silent, this whole thing. Son, what are you doing?
From inside the cargo room, we see a cloud of rock debris fly down the hallway and start pelting this droid.
Cool.
I'm gonna use telekinesis to do damage.
Great.
I have to roll force.
Plus deep.
I got a 10.
Okay. Is that
So I guess I kind of don't like the way this works because basically what it is I roll use force and then I get 3 holds.
okay?
So I guess I can do it 2 more times in the future, or I can just use the force 2 more times.
We'll say so. Each hold, we'll just sort of. I'm going to make a sort of rule of cool thing on this. You could use each hold to inflict a point of harm, or you could use a hold to create an advantage or a disadvantage. So any combination of 3.
So, okay. So what happens is all this rock goes down the hallway and starts pelting this thing, and kind of like it just keeps coming. So it's a lot of rock, but rock doesn't really do a lot of damage to a droid.
It seems to be knocking it off balance, maybe.
But it's creating cover essentially. Like there's like clouds of this stuff just like
awesome.
floating around now because there's no gravity.
Sure.
So it's giving us a little bit of cover, which is the advantage, and it does 2 damage.
Okay.
Awesome. I think that's a cool way to break it up, to have those kind of
Because then it's basically the same as using like stand in defense or something like that.
right.
Yeah.
You can kind of mix and match from those.
With the downside of if I roll poorly, it's,
You still get to do it.
Becoming evil.
well, what's
I don't
great, I was actually thinking about that. I'm like, oh, I can narrate what happens and it happens either way.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not I'm angry when I do it.
I can do whatever I want. Okay, so yeah, this debris cloud seems to be impairing the droid. It takes some damage. It's getting knocked. You can see it being affected by larger chunks. You see that blaster arm swinging as it tries to find a target. The bold, whoever is bold enough can act next. Take on this advantage.
Reach peeks around the corner, and now that it's closer and kind of getting distracted, steadies his aim and takes a solid couple shots into this thing's chest.
Take a +1.
Yeah. Going blazing. 5, 6, 7.
You needed that +1.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
You choose one of the go and blazing options.
Inflict harm. Just kill.
Well, I
us.
inflict harm. I suffer harm in return.
Oh, right.
I'll suffer little harm in return.
Okay.
So I do 2 harm with my blaster pistol.
You don't hit it with the first shot. As soon as that first shot comes out, there's a almost immediate return fire.
Yeah.
It forces you back into cover. You poke your head out again and take a couple of more shots, and you hit this thing in its like upper leg, and the leg is disabled, and the droid falls to the ground, and it does not move.
What do I take for harm?
Oh, you take none.
Well, does little mean none? In this?
Yeah, it's weird. It says suffer little harm in return. I guess it means none because I don't think.
Well, it depends on the on the thing you're fighting. Like
Sure.
a little minion might only do 1 harm.
Yeah.
So it reduces it by 1? Or?
Yeah.
And in this game, it's a lot less harm threshold than Monster of the Week.
How does it work?
You only have 3 hit points.
You have three. So
Well, you have 3 vitality and 3 hit points. Is that how it works?
Three wounds.
vitality, 3 wounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you take debilities. Also, like that just feels Star Wars to me. Like,
Yeah.
how many gunfights you see Han Solo in? How many times does he get hit?
Right.
0.
Well, I mean, but keep in mind wounds and vitality. Like the idea of like vitality is you're not getting hit. You know,
You're
Yeah.
there's
You know
plenty
what?
of times
taking a
where
scrape.
the blaster hits the wall next to Han Solo.
Yeah.
He gets a little flustered.
Yeah, take a vitality.
Okay.
So take 1 harm from the
I talked
vitality.
myself into being damaged.
Yeah. No, that's I
To
like
be
that.
honest, the whole point of this conversation for me was just to get to the audience to understand.
Yeah.
Sure.
The concept.
Honestly, I forgot about vitality and wounds. My praise of this game was, how it's similar to the Monster of the Week that we play and Dungeon World and things like that. That the little things that make it Star Wars, actually I like, because you're not taking damage, you're not taking harm. Just you're using energy.
Yeah.
You had to duck back, you had to come back out.
You recover vitality pretty quickly too, right?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
It just the other wounds take a while, and you get debilities.
I think you can take a debility in lieu of dying. is how that works.
Right.
I think you can. That's in
When
one
you
of
are
the
about to
advanced
suffer
moves.
harm, you may opt to suffer a debility to
yeah.
avoid the harm.
Yep.
You can also spend luck to.
Wow, a debility permanently decreases
Yeah.
one of your main stats.
Yep. And you can only
Damn.
remove
Okay.
that debility like if you take one of like an
Well,
advancement.
you know what's interesting about that, Dan? We were talking about how it seems like in this system you might advance really quickly, but that's a good offset.
True, right? Because if you're trying to offset like a life-saving debility that you took, you're going to spend one of your advancements.
And vitality is very, very open-ended. It's when you get a chance to rest.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or use a med pack. Yeah. First aid. Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be the Halo 2 of Star Wars games where there's no med packs anymore. And it's just a better game. Okay. The droids are disabled. And the hallway is clear. You see that the blast door does have power, but it is closed.
Got it. Do we move forward?
All that rock is just kind of floating in 0G now.
Yep.
I stopped controlling it, but it's just kind of floating freely.
We must if we are to secure the data of the fleet.
Now give me an idea, son. Here, help me grab a couple more of those totes.
The rocks, they're quite heavy.
Nothing, 0G.
Well, if you can get them moving. Just don't get pinned behind them.
We'll use them as cover. As soon as we open the blast door, we'll be behind them.
All right.
While you two are working on that, Zeta kind of picks his way through the hallway.
Okay.
He has B1 kind of advance up to where the droids are, and then he follows afterwards. And he kneels down by the hauler droids and pulls a tool from his bandolier and uses it to extract the bolt on the droid. And
So their soul can go to heaven.
yeah. and
Consumes it.
yeah,
All
he crosses
droids.
himself.
All droids go to the void.
Yep. And but he pockets it or in one of his bandoliers to inspect later.
Okay. Just at first glance, it is an Imperial make restraining bolt.
Okay. Yeah. And then he stands kind of assessing them and looking towards the doorway, waiting for the other two.
We push this fucking crate of
rocks.
rocks. Once it gets moving, we just kind of stand behind it, right? Let it go.
Yeah.
I think Zeta kind of naturally, like, easily pivots around it. He's so comfortable in 0G and watches the kind of the piece of
Bangs against
asteroid.
the
Yeah.
Frame of the doorway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Reach kind of throws over his shoulder. He says, I guess it was the first, a honeypot.
You can tell as you move through this hallway, you can see that breach was definitely caused by an asteroid strike.
Yeah.
Also, these droids could be salvaged. They're heavily modified. They take regular damage out in the field.
Get some crits.
Yeah, and you feel like the arm could be reattached, the leg could be reassembled. You actually found, talking about your cover, there's also like large panels that are used in like the scaffolding to protect the finer pieces from drifting rocks.
Yeah.
So you could have like a panel with a couple of like magnetic handholds that you can sort of walk this thing out in front of you, position it, and give yourself a line of sight.
When you, Rij, said that it was the honeypot, Zeta responds, we still have inconclusive data. The strike cruiser seemed unaware of the station, while yet there seems to be an Imperial presence.
Are you so sure they were unaware?
They did not make any tactical moves in order to pursue.
These Imperials aren't necessarily those Imperials. Keep in mind, since the death of the Emperor, the Empire has become fractured.
That is an interesting assessment. Let us proceed.
These little petty warlords making their own fiefdoms.
Zeta stands to the side as S3 comes through with the power cable and hooks it up to the doorway.
The door already has power.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
because
It's got the little white lights
hub.
around it, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Rij punches in his access code.
And the door opens.
He pokes his head around the corner. Hey, whoever's in here, show yourself.
Give me an assess. You look both ways.
Everything's fine here. How are you?
How are you?
That's an 8.
Hold one. You can get asked. You got a question. And remember, you get +1 forward when acting on the answers.
Yep. What potential complication do I need to be wary of?
So you look right, you call out, you look left, you look right again, and you see just rounding the corner is this round shaped with arms and limbs coming off the bottom scout droid.
Bad news bears.
And its core is spinning. You see that little red light, and you duck back. You feel like just in time not to be noticed, but it will. If it passes by this door, it will find you.
Rij punches his code back in and closes the blast door. There's a Imperial scout droid on the other end. It's gonna round that corner in no time flat. I don't know if it saw the door open. I don't think it saw me though.
Can you disable it before it sends a signal?
They can try.
Zeta, if you touch it, can you...
It is possible, but as the droid's programming is currently hostile, it will be difficult.
I think we should try to disable it or destroy it before it can signal back.
Yeah, I agree.
Its sensors are located on the bottom of the droid.
Maybe you can cut it in half. He eyes over to San.
Let's see if we can surprise it. Wait till it's passing by the door and then open the door.
Zeta stands outside of the purview of the door.
I try to time it.
Roll me +D.
Yeah.
Trust your feelings.
I trust my feelings.
Could use an asteroid as cover, too.
Yeah.
I got a 6.
Mark experience.
Mark it.
Yay, my first one. All right. 3, 2, 1.
You open the door. You timed it so that the droid would be passing by. You would come out behind it. You would turn left and shoot it. What happens is you turn and you look left and it's not there. You turn right and there it is. And it has this little appendage that comes out and has this little shocker. Give me an act under pressure. You need to get out of the way of this thing.
Okay. It's a 5.
But Mark, another
Leveling
experience.
up.
Since it's not using my droid.
Take 1 harm.
Okay.
And you are stunned. Your next action needs to be something minor.
Yep.
Nothing that involves serious physical movement.
Yeah, Rij turns his head, doesn't even turn the gun, turns his head and zaps and curls up. Ah!
You hear and its core starts spinning. You see this antenna with a blinking red light on the top of it. Oh, beautiful. We're going to cap that. Zeta, San.
Zeta goes stationary. His eyes are closed, and B1 advances through the door and takes a shot at the droid.
Great. Aside, we should record some
The
siren
sirens.
sounds from New Bedford and use them as droid sounds.
That'd be so good. 11.
Okay. Choose 2.
Can I inflict terrible harm and take something? Meaning taking its signal antenna?
Yeah. You're specifically sort of... This droid has the tags radio and flying. So you know that as soon as a recon droid like this makes contact, it instantly transmits a signal.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a +deep. On a 7 to 9, you're able to delay the signal. On a 10+, you're able to eliminate the signal it sends.
I got an 8.
Okay,
Delayed.
You delay the signal, but it's been sent.
Okay.
And you inflict what in terrible harm? How much would that be total?
3, I think, right?
3.
It's 1 more.
Yep. You destroy the droid. You destroy the scout droid.
Nice.
But you know a signal. A signal has been
You
sent.
did a Chewbacca. You destroyed it, but it got the signal.
Zeta's eyes snap open and B1 goes stationary, and he says, "The signal is delayed, but will be received shortly."
Let's not be here when they show up.
Oh, okay. Rij shakes off the stun. Okay. I wonder if there's anyone actually alive in here, or if they just sent scout droids.
Are you fully functional, Rij?
All systems operational.
Let's go.
We begin, I think
Little sweep.
is S3 coming with us?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're a merry group.
Okay. I'll describe the hub. There's this a veranda that goes around. There are a couple of stairways that go up and down, interspersed throughout this outer ring. And then at 4 points in the space cardinal directions, there are lifts that go up into the control center. They go down into the control center.
They go, well, is there up and down?
Space up and down.
Space up and down.
Galactic North.
I assume we're heading to the control center,
Yeah.
right? Okay. Yeah.
We gotta go down, get to the control center, see if there's anything there worth salvaging or destroying.
So is there gravity in this part of the ship?
There is.
Okay.
Gravity and life support.
Yep.
You have little sensors in your handheld devices that will show you that
That the
all life
atmosphere is
support systems
breathable.
are green. Yep.
Okay. Yeah. I head to that lift.
Okay.
Zeta's trying to remember the activity of this place when he was here and when the people were here. And there's no indication of a battle here, is there? Are there blaster marks on the... Can I assess?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
For our listeners, I saw a smirk on Devin's face. 11.
Assess this.
Ridiculous.
This is boring.
I know, right?
All right. Hold 3.
I think one of the questions, I'm remembering it from almost Monster of the Week, is
Sure.
what has happened here?
Yeah. You see a cart. You remember this is something that, it's like a commissary would bring things around to people. You see it's just sitting in the middle of the veranda. You notice there are a couple of internal doors that are open. It does not look like there was a battle here, but it looked like people left quickly.
Okay. And my other question is kind of a tactical one. What potential complication do I need to be wary of? Assuming that there is someone here possibly at the control center, like maybe what is something that they could do to us that could create a serious issue for us? Like if they opened up an airlock and jettisoned us out or something like that.
Nothing like that. What you just think back to when San noticed that droid. You imagine that they know whoever is in the command center knows that you are here and has known since you got here.
Sure.
They control all functions of the ship. There is no way to turn off life support in this area without turning off in the rest of the hub. But there are heavy blast doors that lead into the command center. And you know that there is a full complement of hauler droids here that if they had enough restraining bolts, they could have commandeered all of them.
Sure.
Is there like the equivalent of like what is it called in Battlestar Galactica? The 1MC? Is there like can you pick up like a phone and like calm other parts of the ship or anything like that?
Sure. I imagine
They're probably at like an emergency station.
Yeah, like a PA, you would need like an access code to do it.
As we're walking, I point to the station where you would do that, and I say, "If you're saying they know we're here, should we talk to them?"
Yeah, might as well. Rij saunders over to the console, presses in his access code.
Okay.
Picks up the handheld.
You have limited like sort of access, but you are able to patch directly through to the command center.
This is Rij Kantari to whatever bastard is holed up in that command center. You read?
This is Commander Karn. Rij Kantari, identify yourself. What mercenary unit are you with?
Mercenary unit.
Black Jesters?
Funny. No. I'm with...
I'm guessing that's not a name we recognize.
No.
Never heard of him. No, I'm with the people who own this space station. And you have, he looks at his wrist with no watch on it. No timepiece on it.
Chronometer.
You have about 10 seconds to get out of that command center with your hands up, weapons down, or we come in there and we do what we did to the rest of these droids out here. The Void does not forget.
Mr. Kantari, if you are familiar with this ship, you know that those blast doors are impenetrable and that their sole controls are in the command center.
Impenetrable. How many times have Imperial officers made that claim on blast doors?
Too soon. Too soon.
San starts firing up his lightsaber.
Wouldn't that be great if it was like a pull start lightsaber, like a chainsaw?
No.
Gas powered.
Zeta, do you think you could disable the distress signal from here?
Yes.
You can.
Yes.
May I speak with him?
All yours.
Commander, my name is Counselor Tavar. I am part of the fleet that occupied this station before you. As I'm sure you have noticed from the command center, the gravitational repulsor system that keeps asteroids from colliding with this station is inoperable, which means it is just a matter of time before this station is pulverized. I'm sure that you can already see damage reports of breaches. Now, I assume that you are hoping that your distress signal will reach a friendly Imperial ship. It will not. The asteroid belt has stopped your signal, and my companion is about to turn it off completely. So you can open those blast doors and negotiate with us and return our property, and perhaps we will let you take one of the ships in the hangar and leave. Or you can die a slow, cold, vacuumous death as asteroids rip this place apart.
Okay. Compelling. Give me an applied
Love it.
leverage.
Love it.
Plus suave.
Plus suave.
A suave.
Well, that's not a good start. That's an 8, but my special trained diplomat means that it counts as a 10.
Great.
Love it.
Sick.
We're good at this game.
Yeah.
Make your way to the lower level. Counselor Tavar, you alone. We will negotiate.
Negotiate my ass. These Imperials, they're not trustworthy.
I smile and I say, I'm on my way, alone. And then I say, are there cameras here?
Yes, but you can see. Yes, there are, but only at the main, the lifts that go to the command center.
Mm-hmm.
Limited.
You know where they are. You can stay out of their arc. So
I
he
can.
thinks I'm alone.
B1 can accompany you. I will work on the distress signal.
Rish, can you get as close as possible without being on camera?
I can try.
Devin, I'm going to use my black hat move.
Just keep thinking Space Dwarf because of the voice.
No, sorry.
No,
when
it's
you're
fine.
interfacing,
You are, I mean,
Great.
you're a tall Space Dwarf.
Yeah.
Yep.
Without a beard.
When
Space
you're
giant.
interfacing with a computer system or network and you
Yep.
need to use it without permission, I can roll Kani.
Sure. Take a +1 because you're familiar with these systems.
Love it.
You live here.
14.
It's a 13.
Does a 36 hit?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you said you could very confidently.
Yes,
so
I
it'd be
did.
kind of annoying if you didn't, right?
Thankfully, I did.
You're right to believe him. Okay, what do you get with that successful roll?
If for Black Hat, on a 10+, you're in. It just says.
You quite easily, you could loop video so that even if someone is watching live, they could all get in the lift and no one would see.
As you're stepping out, he had placed a hand on the control panel. He wasn't pressing any buttons or anything, but he turns to you, his eyes open again. The security coverage is taken care of. The distress signal has been deactivated. his language is almost becoming more and more monotone as he's connected to the actual machinery. And then he turns from you and closes his eyes again as he's touching the control panel. He remains stationary.
Well, I guess we all get in the lift.
As we're
Zeta
all,
stays there.
but you send the droid.
Yep.
As we're all getting in the lift, have we seen you do this like droid possession thing before?
Yes.
Okay, so I address Rij and the droid as if I'm talking to Zeta, and I say, "What are our demands? What are we asking him for? What do we want?"
Her.
Her.
I'm sorry, I didn't.
Ooh, it's a lady.
Nice.
If there's any girls there,
So out of game, I assume our goal is basically find out what happened to our fleet, right?
Yeah.
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 Because like, kind of what I'm thinking is we go in and we say, just let us have access to the computer so we can look. We just want to know what happened.
Yeah.
And then you can fucking
Or
stay here. It's fine.
if she knows. What
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
playing your neutral card pretty well there, bud.
So B1, Rij, and San enter the lift. Does S3 join?
Yes.
Okay. So all four of them in the lift. Do you do anything special? So the lift door is going to open. It's easy enough, sort of, if you want to hide yourself.
Yep.
You can do that. And when the door opens, whoever would be on the other side would only see San.
Maybe just me and S3.
S3, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then have
B1
Skinny and
Skinny.
Rij stand on like the sides of the door.
Okay.
Zeta never called him there.
No.
Doesn't like the idea.
he always just refers to him as B. He doesn't
Yeah.
seem bothered
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you have a nickname for him.
The door opens and you see standing in front of you, you see two more of those hauler droids with restraining bolts and blaster pistols. There's another blast door after a short hallway that's open, and you see a late 30s something woman in a black Imperial Navy uniform. It looks a little dirty, but it is straight. We cut back momentarily to the hallway up on the upper level, and we see Zeta with their hands on the console. Another hauler droid just sort of walking and stops, stands motionless, looks at Zeta, turns around and starts walking the other way.
I know you said to come alone. I hope you don't mind that I brought a friend.
You're a counselor?
I nod.
You serve the fleet that occupied this place?
I nod.
What is the nature of the fleet, if I may ask?
To survive.
Are you aligned in any way? Imperial?
I shake my
Rebel?
head. No.
Independent then?
We are trying to survive this war. Trying to find a place where we can be safe. We thought that this planet that we're close to would be that. It was not.
She turns and looks back into the command center where you can see a couple of men with blaster rifles, heavy blaster rifles, also in Imperial Navy uniforms. They look at the Commander Karn. They look at each other. Commander Karn says, "Okay, then, we surrender." And she drops her blaster pistol on the floor, and the two naval officers drop their blaster rifles on the ground and they all hold their hands up. And she starts walking back into the command center. The two droids drop their blaster pistols and stand at ease.
May I ask who you're aligned with?
Independent.
Did you go AWOL?
Yes. She starts walking into the command center and invites you to follow. And you see, beyond some of these consoles, there are emergency bedrolls that are laid out, and you see several wounded, what look like enlisted and Imperial officers. They mostly seem to be sleeping. There is a medical droid that is sort of hovering around them. And there's also one more of those scout droids that's just sort of in the corner. It's attached to one of the panels.
Did you arrive after our fleet departed?
I didn't know anything about the fleet. We found the space station by accident. We went AWOL. If you're Imperial or know anything about them, they'd call us mutineers.
I turn and look up at the camera and I motion for Zeta to like I go like this.
B1,
I'm going to call my companions to come in.
Fine.
Ree steps around the corner. His pistol still in hand, half lowered.
Okay.
B1 does the same.
Okay. You come in, you see the same thing. There are two men that are up and conscious, and Commander Karn says, this is Captain Rhymes. He's the captain of our Marine detachment. He was in charge of getting us out. We got out barely by the skin of our teeth. We lost one of the escape pods on the way. We made it here. We drifted for about 12 hours until we found the space station. But we didn't know anything about a fleet.
Were you on board the guillotine?
Yes.
And they're looking for you.
I don't know.
That scout droid in the lower decks, was it yours?
Yes. On the escape pods, they're stocked with scout droids or medical droids, depending on how lucky you get.
Did that signal that it sent get to the guillotine?
No, the signal was sent to the command center here. That's our droid. Same thing with the haulers. It's our restraining bolts.
Rege looks over at a Skinny and says, I guess it was option 3. Squatters.
Affirmative.
I kind of like go over to Rege and say quietly, I say, are we going to offer them refuge?
You probably know Rege long enough that you know he's not so hot on the Imperial.
Okay, then I don't ask.
Yeah.
Because I probably already know how you feel about it.
He's not like openly hostile, but he's made remarks and that you've probably caught on by now.
Okay, all right.
Probably
Never mind then.
adjusting the grip on his blaster pistol as it hangs uneasily in his hand.
The reason we wanted to come on to the command center is because we need to find out what happened to our fleet and where they went. Once we do that, we can discuss our next course of action.
We've tried to get into the sensor logs on the ship. None of us are sensor technicians. We lost our engineer on the other escape pod. We're just Marines.
Rege has some access codes already, and him and Zeta are both quite good with these things.
It's your ship, but if I could ask, do you have any medical supplies? Any expertise? Any droids?
Well,
How do you do medical?
we might have needed it had your droids shot us in that hallway.
I apologize.
We opened comms. We declared ourselves. We were looking for a conversation with anyone on this ship. Yet you opened with blasters. Typical Imperials.
We had to. We have wounded. There's 3 of us. I'm sorry. We've encountered too many want-to-be warlords. Too many. If you had given us Imperial codes, we wouldn't even have trusted those. Too easy to come by nowadays.
Indeed.
You've put yourself in a precarious situation. You are now considered criminals to the Empire, but you'll find no sympathy among the rebellion either.
And what about to an independent fleet trying to survive? Yorick. Benorn Yorick calls himself a Moff. It's a hardline Imperial holdout. We all got the news about Endor. He refused to believe it, and then after it was too obvious to ignore, he went off saying that he would be the heir to the Empire, the one who to bring all the factions back together, restore order, all that bullshit.
Moff Yorick is not the only one who's made such claims. The Empire is fracturing into small fiefdoms.
And the New Republic has not enough of a hold out here to. I wouldn't even want them to.
Reach, perhaps you can get into the sensors and find out what's going on.
I'll try. Zeta, you might want to come up here yourself.
Commander Khan,
Roger, Roger.
there is a storage bay. Perhaps we can go look for medical supplies.
Okay. I can. Again, we don't have our engineer, but life support in the hub, we were able to restore. All of the commands and consoles seem to be intact if you want to try to restore power.
There is a medical bay on Ring 2. I know that much.
Okay. I'll get the haulers on it. She enters a little command on a data pad, and the two hauler droids come in.
Reese starts to punch in access codes. He may not have the access to get all the way what we need, but
you can at least restore power.
Yeah.
There's a sort of boot menu that any service credentialed personnel can access.
Yeah.
And these hauler droids will pick up one of the wounded and would you lead them to the bays, or are you going to bring stuff back?
I was thinking we would go to the bay and get stuff and bring it back here because it doesn't have life support, right?
No.
Okay. So,
Or not yet.
I say to Commander Karn, I say, why don't you take one of those emergency vac suits and accompany me to the medical bay?
Very well. Would you leave your astro droid here to help get into some of these systems? Or if you'd like to stay?
My companion Zeta will be up.
The lift doors
As
open.
I said, Region Zeta are quite capable.
She nods.
They'll have the system open in no time.
Zeta steps through. I imagine that we're probably pretty disconcerting to a lot of
Imperials.
humans and Imperials especially. They probably never seen our kind before.
Me, I'm like weird. I think Zeta is like a step beyond.
level.
Sure.
But you're also both, it's like, it's obvious that your races are like sort of connected,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, the features, like the,
You look
the
like a
overall
sub-race almost.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And Zeta is like hairless, completely kind of that graphite dark black color.
not like relatable as a mammal.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
It looks very synthetic as we described it, but at the same time,
She
moving
like
organism.
She like cocks her head a little bit when she sees you. But if take a glimpse into her mind, and it sort of verifies all the sort of the strange levels that the life support was at. That wasn't really set for humans. And she nods to herself and starts getting suited up. She actually has like a vac suit on. She just grabs a helmet and locks in.
Zeta watches this for a partial second and turns to Sen, and he says, "Do you need assistance in space?"
We're not going to space. We'll stick to the walkways.
Understood.
There's no life support in the other parts of the station, though.
Karn walks over. She stands over her blaster on the floor. She looks at it. She looks at you.
We'll be back with med packs.
Do you mind? She picks it up and puts it in a holster.
I will work with Rij.
I have it most of the way there, but I can't get into the deeper logs, system logs, backups.
Do you want to try?
Zeta
Leave it to
nods.
Zeta.
Okay.
That's his expertise.
He nods. He can either assist you, or he's got the technocracy thing that we talked about.
Okay.
Which is the help. I can do black hat.
Give me black hat.
Okay.
Because this is something that, this is sort of the command center. But you're familiar with the program. You can help
I'll
out.
help out with like where where he needs access codes to get into certain folders, whatever.
That would that'll expedite the whole thing.
Yeah. Help out is bond. We don't have bond yet, so a 9.
So you do get the +1.
And that would push me to a 10.
Beautiful. I'm just going to give you some hold from the assess.
Sure.
And just put it in the frame of the systems and things like that.
Yep. What do I notice despite an effort to conceal it?
There was a reading shortly before the distress signal was enabled.
Mm-hmm.
There was a station-wide evacuation alert. shortly before that, there was a huge spike in, like, it's almost like the station was being bombarded with, like, frequency.
Okay.
A couple of hours before that, there was another sort of blip that popped up, but it was dismissed as within the margin of error for an anomalous
Cosmic.
transmission.
Yeah.
Sure.
Do I think that that frequency bombardment is what knocked everything out, or do I think that it was deliberately wiped from that point forward?
It's possible.
Maybe by looking, was there a command that, like, command delete, or is it broken off? Is there a way to see that in the logs?
It was a sudden and extreme, like, burst of frequency.
Okay. And before that, when the general evacuation went out, was there any sort of astrogational information?
There was the sophisticated sensors. So this space station is the sensors have been modified to detect certain, like, metals, certain frequencies, things like that. And there was a scan that was done that tried to detect. It was like a focused beam scan, but it was overloaded. It was too tight of a beam that whatever this frequency was, whatever this energy was, overloaded that scanner and actually temporarily knocked it out. You can assume that's the same thing that happened to that's what happened to the relays inside the asteroid field, is that they were just overloaded. Think power that they're not used to.
Zeta is, as he is discovering this information, he's vocalizing it to you, Rish.
Yep.
And then he pulls his hand away and, like, turns his head to you and says,
Something sent that signal. Maybe that's what scared them off. Why they jumped.
whether it was cosmic or malicious is uncertain. Cosmic radiation like this is not unheard of.
But why evacuate? Well, we need to figure out where they went. He kind of sighs. He takes out a death stick, lights it, leans on the console. S3, can you check the emergency hyperspace coordinate data log? Probably got wiped, but he whistles and has his little reader go into an access panel and starts spinning.
Gets to work.
Due to the capabilities of the fleet, we know that their hyperdrive capabilities were limited.
True. So they couldn't have gotten far.
S3 could perhaps run an assessment of possible systems nearby.
S3, do it.
Fantastic, Mr. Fox.
Yeah.
Why don't you give me that technical savant, actually?
Yep.
Roll it, hold, and then we'll come back to it.
Hold.
Jacob.
Son. Jacob Son.
No. Oh, no.
Jacob Son. Son and Karn are walking around the veranda towards the what was the nomenclature you gave it, John?
What's that? Oh, the ring 2.
Ring 2.
It's like the hub, and then there's a ring above, ring 1, ring 2, and ring -1, ring -2.
Ring 2 is med. It is also locked behind security, but you do have access to that. She's walking up with you. So what are you? You're a counselor, but to who?
To the fleet.
Looks at you. Kind of young to be providing counsel to a fleet, even these days.
You saw Rij and Zeta. I assume you've never seen others of their race. It's unlikely.
She nods no.
They're quite interesting, quite unique. They're actually created by another race called the Kani.
Created?
Yes.
They synthetic?
The Takani created the Kintari. That's what Rij is.
The Kita.
Kita.
I'm sorry, the Kita.
We're going to leave that in.
That is what Rij is. Then the Kita created the Venko, which is what Zeta is.
And the Separatists created that B-1 battle droid.
Yes, that was salvage. I suppose it's similar to how the clone army was created. But
I never trusted stormtroopers.
I've lived among the Kita and the Venko and the Takani for over a year now. They are fascinating creatures. But this war has destroyed their homeworld. And if they don't find a new one, they'll die out.
Kani. I heard of it.
One of many unfortunate victims to an endless war.
She nods. She seems troubled. She sort of subconsciously looks back towards the command center.
I think I know your story already.
It's a common one these days.
You saw the writing on the wall, yes? You saw that the Empire was falling apart, and yet your commanding officers continue to follow orders from distant moffs, and you started asking why.
We thought we were bringing peace, order.
Yes, well, there's less peace and order in the galaxy now than there's ever been, and I fear it's going to get worse before it gets better.
I just want to keep my people safe as much as I can.
I respect that. Our fleet has given refuge to many people like you and your crew.
Are you going to make us leave the ship? If you can even get us off. I saw that Mon Calamari light freighter.
Well, I suppose that's up to you. If you want asylum, then perhaps we could give it to you, at least temporarily. When we rendezvous with the fleet, you can go your own way or ask to remain.
She nods. She's thinking as you two are entering the med bay. She starts packing up, bags. She seems to know what she's looking for. By the time you're done, she's standing at the door and she's standing there looking at you. I have more people aboard the guillotine. York is holding them.
How many?
I don't know how many are left, but
No, I mean, how many are loyal to you?
I have 9. 3 can walk, including myself.
How many are on board the guillotine loyal to you?
Many more than that.
Commander?
Commander.
How long have you served? As we're walking back.
6 years. I was, I was displaced myself and got picked up by an Imperial ship. They trained me up, taught me all the bells and whistles, gave me command of security aboard the guillotine. A couple ships before that, a couple of strike teams, things like that, but not much real combat. It's all,
As we're walking back in, I say, so you're not Navy, you're Army?
yeah. These guys, Navy. I eventually made my way out of the Army. Was sort of consulting. I don't know, honestly, what my job even was, but they wanted me on the guillotine.
What is the crew of the guillotine? How big?
It's not as much as you think. Strike cruiser, strike class medium cruiser, can crew about 1,900, 140 gunners, can operate with a crew of 800. There's about 120 able-bodied people on that ship. Low power, resources are low.
Crewing the ship with an eighth of what they need?
Yeah. They keep power to the turbo lasers, the tractor beams, the ion cannons, but none of them will fire.
They did shoot a turbo laser
They did.
at us, right?
They did. They could probably get power to 1 or 2 at a time, but after that, the ship's not going to move. take a couple of shots. Let me guess, you went right into the asteroid field and they stayed right where they were.
Well, not all of them. There's 2 less now.
Surprised they'd waste them. But then again, Yorick in command is reckless, ambitious. He was looking for mercenaries in hut space not too long ago.
Mercenaries to crew his ship.
Yeah.
So much for the command structure.
As long as Yorick's in charge, he can call himself Moff. That's the command structure he wants. I'll make you a deal. You want to find out what happened to your fleet. I want to get my people. You help me take that ship. You help me get my people out. I'll give you access to whatever you want on the guillotine. I don't know if they have readings. All I know is that Yorick got a transmission and we jumped immediately to the Dodori system.
That's where we are now.
Yes.
Okay.
Dodori 6.
You want us 3, plus S3, plus Skinny, and you all shot up to go assault this strike cruiser?
There's limited power in the ship. We could hit some of the bays, some of the dormitories, scatter them, make our way in. Easy.
Commander,
They can't have any more than 2 more TIE fighters there.
Commander, why don't you attend to your wounded and we'll discuss this.
Thank you. She grabs the kit, heads over to Captain Rhymes.
What have you found?
Not many systems within our jump range. Probably, well, we have a long range, right?
Yeah, your ship is long range.
There are
Mostly planetoids in this system. So Dodori 1 through 5 are mostly planetoids. There's one or two other like larger planets that could have life, or they could easily be colonized or have installments on them. But Dodori 6 it looks like the only planet, and it is like lush and green.
in terms of other systems that we could jump to.
Far. It's the outer rim, and it's sort of scattered. There are a couple of like charted systems, but at this point, without any knowledge of where the fleet went, they could have gone any of them.
There's a lot of directions that fleet could have gone.
Do we know why they left?
There was a signal. Zetas found it in the logs.
It is an understatement to call it a signal. It was equivalent to a radiation or frequency blast. It is possible it was cosmic in nature, or someone has developed a weapon system to mimic it.
Is this dangerous? Did it hit the fleet?
Uncertain.
Yeah, we just still don't know if there's any kind of wreckage on the other side of the asteroid belt.
That is possible.
John, what did that savant roll yield?
I got a 9.
Okay, so you get one hold.
Yep.
The station is mostly used for mining. Yes, there must be remote mining equipment with sensors. Perhaps we could send it out and see if we can find any of our other ships out there.
It is possible we can use pre-existing locations on some of the temporary locations on the mines.
The question I'd ask was, what is this really?
Tell me everything.
And you were going on the sophisticated sensor systems?
Yeah. Maybe not even looking at logs, but looking at physical connections, physical capacitors blown, like that kind of thing.
Okay. Using this system, you're actually able to reboot the relays throughout the asteroid field.
Yep.
When they come on, they get a similar reading to that energy burst that you got, except in a much smaller amount. And what you detect are highly volatile or highly unstable particles that are in the area between the asteroid field and the planet. These particles really you've only ever measured on like energy emissions from singularities.
Cool. So the planet's going to go black, close supernova.
I have the relays online. Zeta, you see that? Same signature, but less.
I do.
And it's kind of sitting between us and the planet. What happened to that planet?
You get another reading. Sensors pick something else up. Debris, chunks, metal. Those sensor arrays that are highly sensitive to certain alloys and things like that you're looking for.
A lot of Durasteel out there.
A lot of Durasteel out there. And you find a cloud of debris. You tighten that beam, similar tight beam scan that the station originally did and was overloaded. But this time you find that the signature on this debris, the same sort of atomic signature of the hyphae, a heavy freighter that all of the food for the Kita, for the humans in the fleet, all of those things that, all of the indicators of this heavy freighter with rich biological growth in it. And also interspersed are those highly unstable particles.
Oh, no. Oh, may the four gods. He closes his eyes. It takes a really deep pull. The hyphae is gone. Destroyed.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Oh.
God damn it.
Oh, no.
We'll have to explain to our listeners how bad that was.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Wings of Kani. Intro and outro music by Galactic Empire. Check them out at Galactic Empire Official on social media. Our Nasty Graham theme music by A Wilhelm Scream. Dramatic voiceover by Liv. Check her out at Musings of a Polyhedron on Substack. Check us out on nastygrahampod.com. You can get full bios of all the cast. You can get all the links to our social media, links to the feed with all of our back content. So head on over, check out the Nastygram Lounge on Facebook, and chat with us, and tell us your favorite force powers.
That's nasty.